So it's 3, 2, 1. So welcome back, aliens. This is Navin Reddy from Telusko Learning, and in this video we'll talk about list view, and in the list view we'll be having different activity. So this 3 to 1 is the images we will be using here. So it was just for the show. Let me just close these three buttons here. Now, or three images. Now what we require from this video is, so we require something in this way. So we want to create a list. So in this last example we have seen how to create a list, right? But that list was just string. So let's say you want to create a list in which you will be having an activity. So this is one activity, this is second activity, this is third activity. So you can see we have an activity itself. This is a layout in which you have an image. So this one here is an image, and this object here, it's a string. Then we have an image, then we have a string, then we have an image, then we have a string. And we want to see this in a list view. Since we have only 3 images available, so I'm taking these 3 images. You can take any number of images you want. To do this, first you have to create an activity. So we'll say right click new, and we'll say activity, which will be an empty activity, and we'll name this as what? List view image, because we want to show an image also. And we click on finish. Now once we got this view, we also got an activity here, and in this activity we require a view, right? A list view. So we'll go to this container. Where's the container? Where's the container? It's here. So we can just drag the list view here, and we'll set the okay. So we got this list view. Let's set the name for it. Let's set the ID. It is by default list view. We'll say, yeah, we'll do that. List view 2. We'll keep the same ID itself. And now what we need. So if you compare this image, so in this image you can see in one list item we have an layout, right? We have an image, and then we have a text view. So to show that, we require one more activity, which will be only for the view. So what we'll do is we'll create an activity. Okay, just hold on. Okay, so we'll create an activity and we'll name that activity. So let's say this is new activity. We'll keep it empty again, and we'll name this as image list. Okay, we don't require. Okay, so let's say layout image list. Click on finish. Now in this view, I don't require this Java file for this. I just require a image list. Now you can see what we have in the output is we have a layout in which you have 2 components which are next to each other. So this is a list. This is a linear view, linear layout, right? This is not relative. This is linear layout, and we don't require all this padding here. So we can just remove this padding. And we need to set one thing here, which is called as the orientation. So we'll say orientation as horizontal. Okay, that's the one thing we require. Now in this list linear layout, what we need is we require 2 things. One is the image view. So we'll say this is image view. You can also drag it down. Even that will do. I should be capital. So that's the image view required here, and this image view require the width. We'll say this is 20 dp because we want small width, and the height will also keep it 20 dp. Now once we have set these 2 things, the next thing we require is the ID for this, and we'll say we can give any ID we want. Okay, we want an ID to be image view 1. So we can set any ID here. So once we got the ID, next thing we have to specify is the what next? That's it, I guess. Okay, once we got the image view, next we require a text view in which you have to mention the width. Will say wrap content. Height will also say wrap content. Okay, now what next we require is, let's say, text. I don't require text. What I require is text size. Let's set the text size. We'll say text size, we'll say 25 SP. Okay, that will do, and that's it, I guess. So if I try to see the view, okay, let me just set the text so that we can see at least what is the default value. So let's say this is text view. Okay, so we got a text view here. Let's also see some image there, and I will set the image. We already have an image, right? In minmap, do have an image? Yeah, we have IC launcher in minmap, so we'll use that. So we'll say @mipmap. So that's mipmap / we'll use IC launcher. Okay, so you can see. Okay, we cannot see. What's the error? Okay, and we can see there is an image. So we have an image and we have a text view, right? But it is not in the center. What we can do for that is, what if I specify the gravity? Will it work? If I specify the gravity as center, is that working? Oh, it's not working. Let's set the gravity for this text also. We'll say gravity and we'll say center. Okay, now that's look good. Now once we have this component, we want this component to be in the list, right? So we'll not have one component, we'll be having several components. So go back to your list in the this Java file. Now in this list we have to work with those two layouts. So we need to include this layout inside the list view. Okay, so for that we have to go to list view image. Now in this you have to the first thing we require is the list view object. So we'll say in the class itself, we'll say list view. We'll name this as LV. Now once we got the object of list view, we also need object of context here, because anyway we are working for the we'll be working with adapters. So let's take it and we'll require array list. Again, we'll discuss why we require all these components. And we'll say this is program list again as it is. Now once we got these three components, now we need to show this data on the screen, right, on the list view. So what data I require? I require some images and I require some text. So for that I will create a array, and we'll say this is public static array. This will be of array integer, so it's like kind of what do you say? This will be like in enum. So we'll say this, we are creating an array here. So how to create an array? Now I want something in this array, and that something is I want this 1.png, 2.png, and 3.png inside this array. And how to get that reference? We can say r.drawable.1. That's the first component. So we can just give a comma. You can see we got one here. Then we can say r.drawable.2, and we can say r.drawable.3. okay, and we can just copy this for several times. Let's say we want 9 values, so 2 and 3. Right after 2, after 3, we'll set enter. Okay, and at the end we don't require this comma, so let's remove that. So you can see we got 9 components, right? And so once we got this 9 numbers, since we don't have multiple images, we'll reuse the numbers. Now we require for text, we'll say public static string, and we'll say this is program names, right? And we'll create a array for this also. So we can set the first element. What was the first element? It was object class polymorphism. So we got object, then we got class, then we got polymorphism. Okay, what next? We have inheritance, then we have JDBC. So we have, so let me just pause the video and we'll type it everything and then we'll come back. So now once we have added this 9 names, I want to show this name in the list, right? Now what to do for that? So to add this into the list, we need to use some adapter. So in the last example, we have seen how to use adapter, right, which is array adapter. But this time we are not going for the arrays because we have a layout in the layout. So we cannot use normal array adapter. For that, what we'll do is we'll create our own adapter to work with. Now how to get an adapter? Just right click on your Java and you can say new Java class, and we'll name this as we can name it anything. Okay, that's the project structure. So we want it inside main, right? And then we'll name this class as my list adapter. Okay, now what are things we require here? Now since we are using the adapter in the list within the other class, which external class, the things we require here is we require the first thing as activity. So that's the activity object we require here, and we'll name this as, let's say, context. Next we require is the array of string and the what's the error here? Yeah, so we'll do that later. So we require the array of the text and the array of the images. So what we'll do is we'll say private final, we'll say string, this will be for names, we'll say prog list, right? And we require one more thing, final integer array, and this is your prog images. It was those programs names, right? Yeah, so once we got this 3 array, we need to create the constructor for my list because we want to initialize this objects here. And how to initialize this? We can create a constructor, so we can say public my list. So that's my, or we can just ask this Android Studio to give us constructor, so we can say generate constructor for all these values. So we got the constructor here, right? So we got this constructor. Okay, that's a sequence. Yeah. Now we need to also call. So we need to extend this my list adapter because we are creating an adapter, right? So we need to extend this with an array adapter because we want the features of array adapter which will support the string values. Okay, and from this we need to call super constructor, which is by passing context, by passing prog names, and by passing prog images. So that's the thing we require because we are using array adapter here, and we are getting some error. Error is cannot resolve to super. Oh, that's weird. Oh, I just made a mistake here. So we need to pass one more parameter, I guess. No, it's can be the error. Okay, let me just check the constructor once again. The super constructor. So one, you have to pass the context. Yeah, the second one we have to pass not the context but the view. This you have to pass this one. How can I forget that? So in this you have to mention, we have to pass. So we have to say r dot layout, and inside this layout you have to mention that activity image list, and then we need to pass this string which is program names. Okay, so once we have passed these 3 parameters, now what next? Now every time, so whenever you render this list, so of course, right, you will be getting a list format here. Now this one, you will be getting a list format. Is it that this one? So you'll be getting a list format. In this, you'll be getting that one image list, right? So this one, the second, the third one, the fourth one, and every time you call the you render it, it will call the adapter, and it is adapter responsibility to give you those views. So it will give you the view. You just have to use a method which is getView, which is a overridden method of array adapter, which takes. So let me just use that override method here. So how to do that? Just press Ctrl N and we'll say overridden methods, and the method name is getView. Is it okay? So you just have to say, you have to get this method which is getView, and we don't want to return this. Let's return that later. So we'll say, now in this you have to, so in this getView we need to include this view, right? So we need to include this view, and to do that we need to use something called as layout inflator, because inflator is used to fill the layout. So we'll say this is inflator equal to context dot get layout inflator. That's the method. Yeah, so we have get inflator. So that's the standard way of filling the layouts. Now how to fill it? So to fill we have to get object of view. Will say row view. That's the object name. And then to inflate, we have to use inflator dot inflate. by passing three parameters. The first one will be the image you want to fit. So we'll say r dot layout dot activity image list. That's the image we want to fill. The second parameter is what? It is view group. I will say okay, null. I don't want to set any view group. And should it attach to root? Yes, it should be attached to root. So true. Now once we got the view, now the next thing is we have, in that view you have to set two things, the image, the text and the image, right? To set this text and the image, just create object of text view, and we'll say this is txt txt view or txt title, we can say, equal to, we need to set text view. We have to say find, okay, it's not to now find, it is from the view, right? So we have to fetch the text view of activity image list, so we can use row view because it is there, it is in that view, right? So we have to say row view get find view by id, and we can say r dot id dot what, it should be text. So what was the name of that? It should be, okay, let me check the name. I even forgot the name. So this is the, oh, we don't have id for this. Let's set the id. Id will be, what id we can give? We can give any id. We can say this is text view 1. So we can say text view 1. This is text view 1. This is image view 1. Or text view 1 is already busy, so we can say text view 2. So just remember text view 2. So come here and say this is text view 2. So once we got the text view there, the next thing we require is the image. So we'll say image view. We'll name this as image view equal to, you can provide image view, and the same thing row view dot find view by id, and then we can mention r dot id dot, it was, I guess, image view 1. Let me just make sure it is image view 1. So it is image view 1, yes. And okay, that's the semicolon. Now once we have done this thing, we just have to, okay, we are remaining with something else. Yeah, we need to set the text view also, right? So we have to say txt title, and we need to set this, we need to set the text for the image from the array, if you remember. So we have this array which is program names, right? So we can say program names, and we can specify the positions. That's the integer value here, so that's the position. Now the next is for image, so we have to say image view dot what, set image, what was the method name? It was set image, yeah, just set image resource, and here we have to mention image, okay, what's the array name? It is image, and then you have to specify the position. Okay, that's it. And then here we have to return, instead of returning all this thing, just return row view, because that's the view you want to show in the list, right? I think it should work now. Will it work? No, we have to first create object of adapter, right? Then it will work. So in this we have to create object of adapter. So it is my list adapter. Not working. Not able to find the package. Okay, it's here. Why it's there? Let me just drop it. So we need to create in this package, the above package. I think it should work now. Okay, so we got my adapter, and we'll say this is adapter. We can give any name. So that's adapter equal to. Then we have to say my list adapter, and we need to pass the object of the context, the current context. We'll say this is the current context. Then we need to pass the array of program names. So that's program names, and then we have to find. We need to also send the images. We'll say prog images, because we are accepting those values here, right? So you can see we are accepting those. Where we are accepting those values here, so we need to also pass it. Now once we have passed those values, now let's create, let's set the view. So we'll say lview dot, we need to first create the object of lv, right? We are remaining with that. So we'll say list view find view by id. We'll say r dot id dot What was the list view object name? Okay, let's check the list view object name. It was, oh, we have not, yeah, it is list view 2. So go back to this list, it is list view 2. Now once we got the object of list, let's set the adapter. So we'll say lv dot set adapter, and we can pass adapter, which we have created here. I think it should work. So let's run this code. Let's see, hopefully it will work. So just pray for that. Okay, so it will take some time to load in the output window. So this is the earlier code which we have done in the last video. Okay, we are remaining with one more thing. How can I forget that? So we need to change the launcher. So this time the launcher will be the list view. So here just mention the launcher, and let's run this once again. Okay, why it's not working? Okay, there's some problem with this. No resource found as text view 2. Okay, that's weird. Text view 2 is not found. Let's make it my text view. That's my text view, and inside this Java file, which is our Java file here, inside our adapter it should be my text view. Okay, there's a problem with R itself. So there is a problem here. It should be plus, which I forgot to mention. So let's go back to the activity, and it should come now. So it is my text view. So once we got my text view, let's run this code now. I think it should work. So what we have done till now is we have, so it is running, so project is running. So what we have done in this view, in this list, where's this? Yeah, so in this list we wanted this images. So we want this thing there, but not one, we want multiple. So we have created the adapter here. Okay, I got the thing about the output. No, it's still, come on, get me the output. It's taking some time to load again. Oh, I forgot to made some just changes. So let me take this cut. I guess I have just undone it in the last running. So let me run this again. Okay, so let me just repeat what we have done. So we have created this array, this list view image, in which you have to create two arrays, one for the images and one for the text. And to set the text, we require object of adapter. So we have created the object of adapter here, in which you have to first create the constructor, and then we have to mention the view, because every time you increase your images and the names, it will call get view by mentioning the position, and then it will try to render all these values. So it will fetch values from the array, and then it will set on the view. So if you see this, we got obj1, we got class, we got polymorphic, we got inheritance, and we got all these values, right? So that's how we can use view here. We can do one more thing here. We can also set the listener to it. It is very easy now. So we can say set on item click listener, and we can say new. We need to create object of what, on item click listener, and here we just have to say toast dot make text, and this you have to pass this is list view image dot this, and then we need to pass the position. So we'll say you clicked at plus, we can get the position. So we can say program list, which is the program, where is the program list? Yeah, program names. So we have a program names of, we can specify the position, which is position, right? And then we can set the length. We can say this is long duration, so we can set it long, and at the end we can say dot show. No errors, right? So we don't have any errors now. Let's run this code once again for the last time. It will take some time to load. Have an output here. If I click on inheritance, we got inheritance. If I click on swing, we got swing. We got swing. It's a long duration, that's why it's taking some time. And if I click on abstract, it gives abstract. So that's how we can use list view with the images. So thanks so much for watching, and do subscribe for further videos.